All right, everyone. Welcome to episode 11 of the podcast. This is, of course, the podcast called Steaming Pile of Awesome, where we watch shitty movies so you don't have to. I'm Darryn Turzo, and with always Rob Corluck. Rob, say hi to everyone.
It's a pleasure to be here today with you, Darryn, unpacking this fantastic movie.
Yeah, so this week on the cast, we have the 2010 cult smash hit, let's call it, Rubber.
You can't call it a hit. We're going to talk about how many people seen this movie. You can't call it, hopefully soon to be a cult classic.
Yeah. So this movie simply called Rubber. And I'll give you the quick 2-minute version of what happens, and you tell me if you would tune into this movie.
I'm right. I can't wait to see what you decide to do with this. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's really basic. I actually didn't write this part out. So basically, an abandoned car tire comes to life while an audience of people watch it cinematic style through binoculars. Yes. The rubber tire goes on a killing spree and has to be stopped by the local police.
I can't do this, man. I can't. I'm out. Like, this is where it ends for me. I can't. You made me watch this. This is on you.
This is. Just answer the question. Are you going to watch the movie or not?
Please tell me there's more.
There isn't.
Does he attempt suicide in a pool?
The tire comes to life and decides to start killing people. Are you watching this movie?
Yes.
How can you not? Just out of curiosity, like you see this title, you see the movie art by itself, just boom, right?
You've seen the poster for this? It is something special, man.
Yeah. So
that's like some ridiculous tagline. Yeah, I watched it, and let me just go ahead and say this, Darryn. Our tagline is, we watch shitty movies so people don't have to, but like, you need to go out and see this movie. Like, it needs to be seen at least once. This is something that, like, I recommend everyone on the planet who enjoys movies needs to watch this one, if nothing else, for the absolute absurdity of it all. But I'm jumping ahead, of course. Please go out of your way and watch this. Hit pause, go watch it, and come back and listen to our podcast, because we will ruin
the absurdity
of
this movie can only really be rivaled by, of course, the best movie that we've watched so far.
That would be Tremors, right? That's the highest score.
Velocipaster. This is my cast. You will listen to what I am saying.
Sorry.
Velocipaster, best movie ever.
Yes,
all right.
Okay.
Well, let's get down to dirty
made
here,
for
Rob.
Under $36,000. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
All right. So, this is what happens in this movie. We open up to an accountant-looking guy standing on a desert road by himself. Mm-hmm. There's about 20 chairs all staggered on the road, and the accountant is just kind of standing there. And on comes a police car, and the police car looks like it's trying to slalom the chairs, but it literally hits every single chair along the way.
It takes its time. It takes its time doing it. It is not a fast scene.
No, it's very slow, and apparently for no reason. So the one cop who we find out later is the lieutenant, so I'll call him lieutenant from now on.
Okay.
Gets out of the trunk of the car.
Yes.
And immediately walks up to the camera and breaks the fourth wall, talks directly to the audience, and goes on a rant about how all great movies have an aspect of them that happens for no reason.
In the Steven Spielberg movie E.T., why is the alien brown? No reason. In Love Story, why did the two characters fall madly in love with each other? No reason. In Oliver Stone's JFK, why is the president suddenly assassinated by some stranger? No reason.
That's right.
I'm not going to go into details about
He also pours himself a glass of water and holds it during this entire scene. He does not take a sip. He holds it, and he just continues his 3.5-minute monologue about all these different movies, that something happens in them, and he claims for no reason. So,
yeah, the one that really stuck out to me was that he says in the movie JFK, he gets assassinated by a stranger for no reason.
No reason.
It's like, but that movie was made about something that happened. There was a reason. He actually did get assassinated. Yeah. So
it's funny because
it's an interesting scene.
Yeah, it's every single example has a half decent explanation. So I'll bring this up at the end of the podcast again. We'll revisit this scene. Yeah, because it's a really interesting idea. This is where it kind of hooked me, where it was maybe there's more to this movie than the ridiculousness aspect. There might be something deeper. So we'll talk more later. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. So after the
I'm going to try and convince you.
Yeah. After the cop leaves, the accountant hands out binoculars to a group of people that I'll refer to as the spectators from here on. Once they have the binoculars, they start watching what almost appears to be like a drive-in movie. Yeah. So they all pull up the binoculars, and then we roll credits. After the credits are done, we just have basically almost like a dumping ground or something. You see a bunch of garbage, and there's a tire.
It's tire like a desert scene,
shake. Yeah. So, everything's pictured in the desert. So there's a tire, and the tire kind of starts to wobble a little bit, and then stands up. It falls over a few times. Eventually, kind of like a baby giraffe, it falls over a few times and eventually starts to gain ground. And we're off to the races.
So,
first one down there.
So when the tire shakes itself awake for the first time, and like you said, it struggles to roll by itself. This sentient tire, which by the way is named in the credits as Robert the tire. Robert the tire, like you said, struggles a little bit, but one of the things I noticed about it was the music that's going on during this scene is what I referred to as a flute of baby's first steps. It's like a little pan flute, and it feels like it's like you're watching your kid learn to walk. It's like one of those light and fluffy flute sounds. It's great.
Yes, exactly. So tire comes up to an empty water bottle, and just
Kirkland water
runs
bottle,
it over. Runs it over and crushing it, which is nothing by itself. Tires run stuff over all the time.
It goes over it a couple times though. You can tell it's enjoying the crushing. Yeah.
And then it comes up to an innocent scorpion, is the way I have it, because Scorpion has done nothing to anybody. And
it's
then
a
runs
scorpion,
it over.
Darren. Yeah. Being a scorpion excludes it from being innocent.
And then we come up to it comes to a beer bottle, and tries to run it over. It has trouble smashing the beer bottle, and kind of you can see the beer bottle start to spin in the sand, and then eventually the tire, I guess, stares at it. It doesn't really have eyes, so it starts to stare at it. Then the tire starts to wobble a little bit, and then the glass just shatters.
Yes,
and then
this is where we're introduced to the tire's psychic ability to cause things to explode.
Powers. Yeah. So we go back to the. We're sent back to the crowd with the binoculars for their commentary, and
which the tire they literally repeat again.
Yeah.
Oh my God! It blew it up
several times. Yeah. And then, so the tire, meanwhile, has found its next victim, which is an old rusty tin can, and it blows it up with its mind again. He rolls a little bit further as the sun goes down. He wobbles and he falls over because you guessed it, he's tired.
Oh.
Beautiful.
No, Darryn, I told you, no low-hanging fruit.
Oh, okay.
Two can play this game, you know. Two can play this game.
He's not tired, he's worn out.
Oh, no. Get a grip, Darryn. Let's keep this rolling.
All right. Ooh. Ooh. All right. So the next morning, the accountant shows up to the scene with the spectators, and I just love this scene because he starts going through their stuff and taking money.
He literally steals out of their pockets.
He does. He picks their pockets.
This wormy, greasy little guy who's running everything is stealing things out of their pockets and backpacks as they're sleeping. They were there all day. They get no food or drinks.
Yeah, and after he's done picking their pockets, he wakes them up quite rudely and lets them know that it's time to continue watching the adventure. So
the tire's
this is kind of a neat scene. We have the tire rolls up to a puddle and apparently starts drinking. It just rolls into the puddle. Yeah.
He has a
and then it's interrupted by a bunny rabbit that hops nearby, and the tire. It's interesting because the tire, you can picture it kind of like sitting up because it rolls out of the puddle and like kind of turns towards the rabbit and then starts to wobble again and then blows up the bunny.
Poor bunny.
Yeah.
Bunny is the first actual victim of the tire.
Yeah. Well, except for the scorpion. So
the bunny explodes.
And like, I just love the explosions in this movie because they're all just like, you can tell it's just like a cherry bomb.
Yes.
And then it's done, right?
It's great though. Like the effect is great.
After he's done with the bunny, we get a nice little musical interlude and the tire continues to travel.
He's just rolling on, like going side to side. The song is literally singing. The song is literally singing the words, "I just don't want to be lonely." It's the song.
Away, I just don't want to be lonely.
Perfect.
It is
so perfect. A young woman in a car passes tire on the road, and the tire then uses its mind control to kill the engine of the car. But before it can get to her,
a new power.
A pickup truck. Yeah, a pickup truck actually, just as tire kind of gets close to her, a pickup truck that is not paying attention hits the tire.
Yes.
Shoots it off to the side of the road, swerves past the girl. She gets upset because, well, first of all, he didn't stop to help her, and second of all, he's driving like a jackass. So, but unbeknowing, it actually saves her life. So, good.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we had some tire on tire violence here.
Yeah, which you hate to see. As Robert regains his self, there's a bird nearby, and of course, it blows it up.
We have to talk about this scene. This scene is special, man. Just the way the tire sits up, the way they have it framed. As it sits up, the circle inside the tire comes into focus, and it literally acts as like a scope in a gun, where it pops up to reveal the bird in the crosshairs, and you're like, oh yeah, Robert's angry. He's gonna take it out on this bird.
Yeah.
I love that scene.
So then we cut after that scene to the pickup driver's at a gas station, and the woman in the car passes the pickup driver, honks the horn a couple times, flips him off, not realizing that he actually saved her life by being a shitty driver. And
you're welcome.
Yeah, but then shortly after, tire pulls up to the gas station, pulls just outside the door of the pickup truck, and Pickup truck driver looks down at the tire. Tire's looking up at the driver, starts to wobble, has a rattlesnake noise, and we get the tire's first homicide. The guy in the pickup truck, his head just explodes. Yeah, Kaboom. And he is done. That's the last we see of him.
Right before his head explodes, you catch like the look of the tire in the reflection of his aviators, and it's a really cool scene. Yeah, there's a lot of scenes like that I love pointing out because it proves like, okay, this movie's ridiculous. Like I had a bit of a moment earlier where I couldn't stop laughing already. Like the opening scene alone is absolutely ridiculous, but like there's some decent shots in here. This guy knows what he's doing. He's making something special out of some of these scenes, and I noticed for sure.
Yeah. So Tire, continuing his travel, pulls up to a motel on the side of the road, and as luck would have it, he finds the young woman with her door propped open as she hops in the shower. Just
two doors.
Who stops? Yeah, she didn't just leave the bathroom door open. She's also left the motel room door open. Yes. And a straight shot. So Tire is peeking in and sees her get naked.
Yeah, Robert's a bit of a creep.
Yeah. I like this part because we cut right back to the audience.
Yeah,
and they're starting to argue about how hot the woman is.
Oh God, I can't believe they did.
And whether the Tire is going to get laid.
They're objectifying her in their own movie.
Yeah.
Like the one lady says her ass ain't so great, but she got a nice rack.
Yeah. And then another guy's like, do you think Tire's going to get laid? So great.
Another guy's like, man, this is the first time in my life I could relate to a tire.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a theory. The reason why the Tire can creep in on this girl, who I don't even know if she has a name in the movie, but the reason why he can creep in on her is none of the locks at the motel work. They're all broken. That's my theory. That's my headcanon. Because like she goes to close she closes the door, but it doesn't stay closed, and the wind blows it open because it's jiggity jank. You know what I'm saying? Because like later, spoiler alert, later the Tire gets a room and like watches TV. So like he didn't go up to the clerk and rent it. You know what I mean? He had to have propped the door open at some point and hung out.
It's possible. Yeah.
That's my theory on that.
We cut back to the hotel room, and she has realized that the door is open. He slams the door. Tire's waiting right outside, so he gets the Tire slammed.
He gets denied, yeah.
Yeah. So then Tire gets the room next to the young woman and blasts a TV show, stopping her from being able to sleep very well.
Not just a TV show, like an 80s aerobic workout. Yeah. A Stairmaster from the 80s. Yeah. He's so funny. Of all the things a Tire to watch on TV, that's what he chooses. It's like an infomercial for like a step-up ladder.
In another room in the same motel, the accountant gets a call from somebody who refers to his master.
Yes.
And then we learn that he has a turkey companion.
He's hanging out in his room with a turkey.
Yeah. And then we cut to so then he opens up a briefcase full of like knives and seasoning. And of course we cut to black with turkey killing noise. Yes. So the turkey's dead. It's obviously going to get stewed up and served. And we go to the next morning with an awkward conversation with the cleaner, which is like, she's like, hey, can I clean your room? And he's like, yeah, why not? It's just like so bizarre. But there's obviously like turkey blood all over the place. Yeah.
Why not?
There's
no reason not
turkey.
To.
Yeah, there's just clearly turkey blood everywhere, though. So we head over to the audience where the accountant is dropping off the turkey, which is like a really weird feast because everybody except for one person just dives into this turkey like a bunch of feral animals.
Yeah, they turn into zombies in like World Wars. They haven't had anything to eat or drink for 2 days straight. And when he throws this turkey into the sand, they attack it ferociously. And like you said, the only guy who doesn't is like this like old vet in a wheelchair who's just like not going to take his eyes off the show. He is just glued to it.
Yeah. So then we go back to the hotel,
Mm-hmm.
and the cleaning lady's now inside the room that Tyre was in, and the bed is covered in like tire dirt and rubber.
Tire scuffs.
Yeah. And the shower turns on, so she goes into the shower, rips it open, and there's the tire just getting showered on.
Yeah.
So she
Is this
picks it up.
technically nudity, Darren?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. They didn't censor it or anything. I guess they didn't censor the girl
which would have been great.
That would have been hilarious if it was like pixelated, like the tire was pixelated.
Yeah.
They don't pixelate the girl, but they pixelate the tire.
Yeah.
So here's my next question. Does the maid think someone fucked the tire? That's my question, because she is disgusted by the bed. She is disgusted. Like, do you think someone,
maybe,
like, pulling some rubber furry action here?
Rubber furry action.
I don't know what it would be called.
We don't get long to interview her.
At least
so
that would be safe.
So yeah, she tosses it outside. She's clearly not happy with it, and then it's funny because then Tyre kind of lands, sits himself back up, and starts rolling back into the room. A boy sees the Tyre enter the room, and he goes to tell an adult who I'm guessing is like the hotel manager. We never really get a proper introduction to these people. Possibly
he manages the hotel, or he owns it. It might be the guy's dad. Yeah. They don't really go into detail.
Some kind of adult figure anyway. So, but he doesn't believe him, and he sends him for pizza. Yeah. So he doesn't believe him. He sends him for pizza, and as he's leaving, he's like, "Don't forget the double toppings." So it's just very, very classic of like just a jerk who won't listen. So
absolutely.
Then we go back to over to the pool now, and now the Tyre is watching the young woman swim. And she gets out of the pool, does the kind of the sexy exit of the pool, walks by Tyre without even noticing that it's there.
Once again, blows him off a second time. D9.
Yeah. And then we have
Robert is not getting any love.
He's not. Yeah. We cut over to the boy getting his going to get the pizza on his bike, and we enter the classic hippie hitchhiker, like long hair, scraggly
What is this guy doing in the movie? Like, what is he does absolutely
really
nothing.
Has no point.
He's not in the movie for more than 2 minutes. He has no point. He is literally there just to watch something happen, and that's the end of him. He's done.
So, and it's really funny because he tries to hitchhike the kid on the bike.
Yeah. Like what does he want to do? Like hang doubles on the bike?
Yeah,
what?
exactly. And the kid's got a pizza on the front of the bike, so it's just impossible, right? Like, so he goes by him, and then he only gets by about 30 feet past the hitchhiker.
He's literally right in front of him, yeah.
And this is where we have our first kind of callback. There's an exploded crow on the side of the highway.
There's a
for
dead
some
bird.
Reason.
Yeah, I don't know why.
So, and he takes a couple chunks of the bird, puts it on the pizza, and he's like, "How's this for your double toppings?"
Asshole.
Asshole.
He had a real like John Connor T2 feel there. He was like,
"Oh yeah.
You talking to
not
moi?"
My dad.
It's not my mother, Todd.
Todd.
You're not my dad, Todd. Okay, so this leads me to my next question, Darren. Inquiring minds want to know, on your pizza, would you prefer dead bird or pineapple?
Dead bird.
Nice. I knew it. You're absolutely right. That is the only correct answer.
Yes. The only other answer is incorrect. So then we get back. Then we go back to the audience now.
Yes.
And one of the young boy in the audience starts to feel like he's getting sick. His dad tells him that he probably ate too fast. So then he starts to think that he ate too fast because his stomach starts to hurt, and then everybody starts complaining about their stomach getting hurt, all with the exception of, like you mentioned, the handicapped veteran, possibly. I got a veteran feel out of this guy.
I did too.
He didn't eat the turkey, and he's all good. And then he says, he's like, "Don't worry, they won't get away with it." like he's going to do something about them poisoning him, because obviously the accountant has poisoned the entire audience.
Yes, and they are all dead. Everyone but the vet has passed away from this poison in a real gruesome scene. Like, they are struggling. They are in pain. When they flash back to the boy, he's like died on his dad's chest. And I was just like, what movie are we watching now?
Yeah. How did this take such a sharp left turn?
It was insanity. I was like, this does not belong in this movie. What are we doing here? But it's here.
So then
this movie has everything.
So we cut back to the boy coming back with the pizza. He opens the motel room that Tyre was in, and apparently finds the cleaning lady, because shortly after the cops and the ambulance show up. Yeah, except her head. So the boy takes the cop and the hotel manager.
Yeah, that's kill count number 2 in case we're keeping score, by the way.
Yeah. So the pool takes the cop and the hotel manager to the pool, and Tyre's at the bottom. And
he's in the pool. Okay, so we got to
dismiss him
unpack
again. Yeah.
So the Tyre's sad because the girl didn't notice him, and he commits suicide here. He tries to drown himself in the pool. Is that what you think? You with me on this one?
Probably. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're both in agreement. We have a suicidal, psychic, evil Tyre. Okay.
Yeah.
That has killed 2 humans and a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah. So, So they dismiss the boy again, even though he's correct. They make him fish the Tyre out, and then they get rid of him.
In his clothes.
Cop starts to question the man.
Yes.
But as he's questioning him, his watch goes off. He checks his watch, and he declares that the poison has already taken effect, has had time to take effect, and the audience has been taken care of. So this is where we take a real sharp twist in this movie. So apparently, this is all fake.
Yeah.
And he knows it.
And this is the same cop from the opening monologue.
Yeah, Lieutenant,
breaks the fourth wall, the same guy. And he's aware that this is a movie, or at least this isn't real. And now that everyone watching is dead, they don't have to do it anymore, is basically what he says. Yeah,
exactly. So he doesn't finish the interview or the interrogation with the hotel manager. He heads over to the rest of the cops, and announces that everyone that the murder scene, at the murder scene, that the show is over. Everyone can go home. They tell him it's real life, not a movie. He gets another officer to shoot him, and
3 times.
Well, the first time shoots him in the shoulder. You see the blood plaque explode, but he's like, "See, no pain, nothing whatsoever." Gets him to shoot him a couple more times. Still nothing. So he says, "See, it's just a movie. Everybody can go home." The accountant then enters the scene, whispers to the lieutenant that not everybody ate the turkey, and there's still one live audience. He's
so
just very.
He just kind of like leans in and he's like, "There's still one alive. You're going to have to keep going."
Yeah.
Sorry. Sorry about that, Bob.
So he returns to the pool to interrogate the man, comically covered in blood from the fake gunshot. But he's like, "Oh, don't worry, it's nothing."
He just looked like he should be in intensive care. And he's like, "Don't worry, I'm fine. Let's just keep going with this interrogation I didn't want to do earlier."
Yeah. So then we have Tyre wakes up and just rolls up and blows the head up of the hotel manager right in front of the cop.
Yeah, Hughes is dead, and that is kill count number 3.
Yep. So the boy breaks his concentration by telling Tyre it's in trouble with the police, and the Tyre rolls away. Yeah. So.
Yeah, this is a neat scene too, because the Tyre is like looking at himself in a mirror, and at first I thought like, oh, he's like, "Oh shit, I'm a Tyre." I didn't know until now.
Yeah, exactly.
That was like the first thought in my head.
I got kind of like
flashing back and thinking like, "Oh my god, I'm a Tyre," and I didn't know.
I got more of a like, oh geez, I've killed so many people kind of vibe off of
What
that
am I
one,
doing?
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like, oh, I'm an evil tire. That's not a cool thing.
Yeah, and the other thought I had was, maybe I'll just like make myself explode at this point because I couldn't drown myself. That's the other thing I thought here. This is just a crazy scene. Like, we're trying to put stuff into a movie that already told us nothing matters in the opening 5 minutes. But that's what we do, Darren. We're just having fun with it. I'm okay with it. If you're okay with it, I'm all right with it.
Yeah.
I got a lot out of this scene. And like you said, the kid just jumps in from off camera and they smash cut to the kid. And he's like, you're in a lot of trouble. You just killed somebody.
Yeah. Cops are after you. So we have
rolls away from
we have Lieutenant back to the rest of the police, letting them know that the killer is a tire, which is it's comical because he like literally pulls the tire off of his car to show them what a tire looks like.
He like jacked it up, took the time, took it off, and then he's like, "This is what our tire looks like."
But doesn't even just leave it at taking the tire off the car. Like he actually takes it off of the rim, so it's just the rubber left. It's just he's like, "This is what it looks like."
He wasn't wrong. Oh, that's exactly what it looks.
Yeah,
it's probably unmarked.
Yeah. So,
like, is it worn?
Then we have
it's worn.
Yeah. So then we have the accountant wheeling up to the remaining spectator with a buffet of food, trying to get him to eat. He's like, "You must be so hungry." It's very obviously poisoned. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So he tells him he's not hungry, that he's not going to eat it because it's an exciting scene, and the police are chasing the tire.
I don't want this.
Pull up to the tire. So we get a cop car pull up to the tire.
Yeah.
We think maybe there's going to be a big standoff here, and of course, what happens is the tire just starts to shake, has a rattlesnake noise, and blows up the driving officer's head. So the other officers just kind of like.
Oh, his reaction is great. Right before that happens, the tire like stops on the road and like slowly spins backwards.
Yeah.
For some reason, even like the tire, like you said, doesn't have eyes or anything, but it just slowly spins backwards and like locks onto the car. And you're like, oh man, it's getting real now. And of course, like you said, cop killer. This is the first real cop killer homicide. This is kill count number 4. The tire is officially a serial killer. Congratulations.
Yeah. So then we have the flashback to we go back to the spectator and the accountant. The lone spectator and the accountant.
This is so good.
And the accountant tells a story about his family vacation
while
eating the food that he brought. He's just going to town on the food that he poisoned.
Possibly. We don't know for sure. We didn't see him poison, but I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, he almost certainly poisoned it, but maybe he didn't because now he's eating it. Maybe this is an olive branch. He's telling this story. He smashed his brother's face with a rock, and he's eating these chocolate eclairs and offering them to the other guy.
Yeah.
They're just having like a bro moment.
Yeah. So then, so he tells him the story about him killing his brother by smashing his head with a rock on a family vacation.
Yeah.
Just as he finishes, his stomach starts to hurt.
Oh,
and he has this long, drawn-out death scene of dying of poison. And he's blaming the spectator because he was supposed to eat it, but then he left it for him.
This is supposed to be for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, God, this hurts. He's writhing around on the ground. Darren, do you know what his last words were?
No.
He like legit made me burst out laughing. I was watching this movie and I like started crying from this scene because I was laughing so hard. This guy is having the same ridiculous, painful death that all these other innocent people did. And before I was like, oh God, this is gross. This is awkward. And in this scene, I like couldn't stop laughing because he's flipping around on the dirt and his last word before death takes him is cuckoo. That is the line in cuckoo.
It's a good line.
He says that's how I want to go, man. That's how I want to go.
By yelling cuckoo.
By yelling cuckoo after eating food I poisoned myself.
Yeah.
That is so. Oh man, I enjoyed parts of this movie way too much. Continue. I'm back. What did I miss?
So we have, after Accountant dies, we have the tire rolling along until he sees a plume of black smoke in the distance. He heads over towards it and he sees a tire fire. We have kind of an emotional scene here. What we actually don't see, if you watch carefully, though, is any tires on fire. Like, there's fire and there's piles of tires, but they're just obviously not burning tires. Yeah. So,
because burning tires is gross, Darren.
Yeah.
And it's like this, once again, back to T2, this is the Sarah Connor scene. Like, the tires against the chain link fence, watching all these tires burn.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's a little traumatic for old Robert.
So we don't get to see what happens, but we fast forward 3 days in advance and we're treated to a town full of corpses with blown up heads. Tire has been on an absolute rampage.
Absolutely.
So we have
minimum 13 deaths in this scene. I count his kill count at this point at 17 head pops. Beautiful. 17.
And just getting started. So the police are outside of a house and they hear the TV. When they look in, there's a headless corpse at the dinner table, number 18, and the tire is watching TV. Lieutenant is elsewhere playing chess and trying to pull an illegal move.
Yeah,
on the board,
on the travel chessboard. We're going to talk about this scene later. I promise you.
And then
we'll come back to it.
So Lieutenant gets a call about where the tire is.
Mm-hmm. So then, I want to stop you though. Can I stop you? Because you glanced over something that I thought way too much about, and I want to ask your opinion on it. What is the tire watching on TV at this point? Because he's not watching aerobics anymore. What is he watching?
I actually don't know.
He's watching NASCAR. He's watching like a NASCAR or an Indy 500 race. Which it does it though? Like, does it? Like, here's what I started thinking. I'm like, why would a tire want to watch a bunch of other tires like wear themselves out to death? And I started thinking, I was like, oh man, like, okay, so from a tire's perspective, NASCAR is like, the tires are like professional athletes. Like, he's watching sports, but he's also watching tires that are going to die by the end of the race. So it's not really sports. So here's my hot take, Darren. NASCAR for tires is like gladiators. He's like watching gladiators compete. That's where I'm going with this. What do you think?
What do you think?
I was not smoking weed while watching this movie. I swear to God.
How high are you?
High as balls. I can see that.
How high are you? NASCAR is to tires what gladiators are to humans. Wow.
Aliens.
Aliens. Exactly. I don't think that's what we were supposed to get out of it, but.
Well, I did. Maybe I just went a little deeper than most.
Yeah. I think it's really the only thing that you could watch on TV that a tire could really like vibe with.
Fair enough.
There's not a lot, right?
You mean more than aerobics?
Yeah. So this is where we get to the real kind of the meat of the police department here, if you will. Mm-hmm. So the police come up with a plan. They stuff a mannequin full of dynamite and put it on the front door, and it's got like a broken speaker on a necklace on its neck.
Yeah, kind of chain.
And they're parked a couple 100 feet away, and they have the young woman from the car and from the hotel.
They're in like a metal van.
Up. Yeah,
they're in like a van, but there's no anything else around. It's just a van in the middle of the desert.
Yeah,
so it sticks out as plain as day.
Yeah, it's really bad joke. But I mean, like, the mannequin also doesn't look like a human. And
right.
The speaker doesn't look like a voice box. So, I mean, we do what we can. So, on the mic, they have the young woman from the car and the hotel.
Yes.
And she starts to really balk at the script. Because they're trying to get her.
Special.
They're trying to get Tyre to blow up the mannequin and in turn blow himself up.
Yes.
So they have this script for her to say a bunch of mean things to the tire.
Yeah.
But they're just like really weird and offside, and she stops. She's like, "Who wrote this?" And it's like, "It doesn't matter. Just read it.
Just keep reading."
It's obviously him.
Yeah. There's only him left. Like at one point, she's like, "Go ahead, kill me if you want to. I need a good thrashing.
Yeah. It's so bad.
It's
So
like, who wrote this?
she
I can't
doesn't.
read that.
So she rejects the script.
Yeah.
The lieutenant tries, but he's just
He, like,
terrible, and
he
obviously
tags
in a man's
himself
voice.
in.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. Got to do
Yeah,
something
don't worry, I
right.
got
You
this.
do it yourself. I got this.
Yeah. So
Hold my
she gets
beer.
back on the. When you realize how bad he is, she gets back on the
Mhm.
microphone, and just as they're making headway, the spectator knocks on the van door. So he's sitting outside the van in his wheelchair, and he lets them know that the scene is trash. He doesn't like the way the movie is going at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have a quick convo about how to speed it up, and the lieutenant tells him to go back to the watching post.
Oh, he totally like Sonic the Hedgehog's this movie and like tells them everything he hates about it and how to finish it right.
Exactly. So then he takes off. We go back to the scene on the porch. They finally managed to goad the tire into blowing up the head of the mannequin, but lo and behold, nothing else because
doesn't fire the dynamite because the dynamite is strapped to her back, not her head. So it doesn't even go off.
It makes no sense. So
just really announced.
Yeah, tire blows the head off the mannequin. The bomb doesn't go off. The lieutenant goes in with a shotgun and kills the tire. The spectator says that he doesn't like the ending. Yeah, off camera.
Comes
back,
murders the tire.
Back. Yeah, with a shredded tire that looks like a semi launched it off, like pieces that you would see on the side of the highway.
Yeah.
That a semi drops. Drops it at the spectator's feet and walks away.
He's like, I'm done. There's your finish. Goodbye.
Yeah. But it turns out the tire has been reincarnated as a tricycle. So the tricycle comes out and blows up the spectator.
Delivery. Your delivery could have been so much better there. Like, you could have stretched that right out. Like, and what did it come back as? You guessed it. A tricycle. The most obvious
now it has
choice.
3 tires.
3 times as strong.
Tire is now a trike. And it blows up the spectator. And it doesn't just blow up his head. It blows him up from, like, the wheelchair, his whole body. Everything. Yeah. So
we just have a complete explosion. It's now 3 times as strong. So, yeah, that guy is going down.
Yeah. Then we have... so it's all over, I guess.
What a movie.
The cops drop off the young woman at her car. She gets in, looks outside the window to her left, and the tricycle is right there. And then wheels on the road down after the police.
And lets her go.
We retreated to a triumphant montage with the trike rolling on. As it passes tires on the side of the road, the tires then come to life and start following the tricycle.
I have a theory about this. Do you want my theory?
Well, we'll go back to it. Let me get this. So the tricycle rolls up to the sign of the Hollywood. They've arrived at Hollywood.
Yes, they have.
So it's the tricycle and the army of tires, and they're in Hollywood. And that is it. Mm-hmm. That's the end of the movie.
Sets up perfect for a sequel.
Yeah.
Jay and Silent Tire Strike Back.
Yeah. Trike and Silent Tire. So what's your theory on the tire?
Okay. These tires are the souls of all of the tire's victims in this movie. Bum, bum. That might be a
why are they following him then?
Because now they're like belong to him. It's like that. That's like that thing, man. He killed him, so now they're like his afterlife slaves. Haven't you seen Training Day? This is all canon. Come on, man.
That's a terrible theory, honestly.
Okay, fine. I just thought if Denzel Washington said it, it counts.
Is the worst theory I have ever heard. At no point during that entire rant did you come close to getting to a point. Everyone watching this podcast is now dumber having heard that theory. May God have mercy on your soul.
Okay, a simple wrong would have done just fine, but...
You were awarded 0
a simple
points.
I don't agree would have been fine, Darren, but whatever. That one wasn't worse than the Gladiators one. Come on.
Yeah, the Gladiator was pretty bad.
What's your favorite scene in this whole movie?
Favorite scene?
There were many to pick from. More than I thought there would be for a psychopathic, psychic tire murderer, sociopath movie.
Yeah, I think I gotta go with either the lieutenant first explaining to everybody that it's fake, and then being told that it's actually
real still,
and then he has to continue doing his job.
That scene is special for sure. That's like the moment where I was like, oh, they've won me over with this scene for sure.
Yeah, he's just
because it is so strange.
Yeah,
like to prove that you exist in a movie and you're done now because no one's watching and you can go home, but someone is in fact watching, and the meta part of that is like we're still watching, and then it made me think like, what happens when you shut a movie off? Like, does that movie win? Like, do they, like the movie stops, but like the characters in the movie, like this movie is premising that they can like stop doing what they were doing and just go home. And I was like, oh man, it messed with my brain, man. It messed me up. I may have overthought it, but it was great. It was a great scene.
That sounds very, very reboot-ish.
Yeah.
Like
that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
it felt like Reboot, where it was like an old Canadian CG TV show where like when you shut the video game off, all the people in the video game have like chill time. And like there was like an old cartoon too where like when a person turned the TV on, everybody had to act, but as soon as the TV got shut off, they could all relax again. I don't remember what it was, but this rang a bell with that too, man. But that scene's definitely something is very different. Very different. Yeah. Mine is at 1 hour and 4 minutes and 45 seconds, which, by the way, this movie's only 82 minutes long. It's not even 90 minutes long, but at like an hour and 4, this is the scene you kind of glanced over earlier where like they're playing chess. So how they set up this scene, for anybody who hasn't seen it, the cops are all huddled around a cop car hood and they're all looking down, but they don't show what they're looking down at. So the first thing, if you're like looking at these police officers, this is right after the big 3-day massacre. These guys have not stopped the tire. The tire's been shown to be just chilling out. No one's been able to kill it yet. They haven't gotten it. And like these cops all look defeated. Like they look like they can't solve this problem. They haven't been able to catch the tire. They are at a loss. They have no idea what to do next. And I'm like, oh man, these guys are like super defeated. Like they have not been able to stop this killer. And it's really weighing on them. And then the camera, as if on an exact perfect timing for cue, pans down and no, they're just playing a game of chess. And the one guy's playing wrong. And like, that's why they're all frustrated, is because they're playing chess on a cop car from a travel chess set. And I'm just like, oh, okay. It got me. It got me good. Like this movie has messed with me. That was when I was like, okay, I'm officially on board. It's so weird. I don't like this movie. I wouldn't even for sure call it a movie, but I have to recommend it. Like it's one of those weird things where it's like you have to see this thing. Like it's ridiculous. Yeah, we talked about all the scenes I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, well, that's good. So we'll move on to my favorite segment, which is the 3 lines.
Okay, so quotes time.
I have 3 lines for you, Rob.
Oh my god!
And
I hope
which
my
one
favorite
of these 3 are your favorite.
Yeah, go ahead.
So first one is, of course, we went over this. The kid picking the dead crow and putting it onto the pizza, and he says, "Here's your double topping, dickhead."
Dickhead.
Good line.
That's what it was.
Good line.
That's asshole.
Yeah. So
Todd.
Second line.
Yeah.
Is
great line.
Oh God, the kid was right. The killer is a tire.
And he's like sitting back in like a plastic lawn chair at a pool, and he's looking literally at his lines on a piece of paper too. He's like, oh God, the kid was right. It was a tire.
It was a tire.
It's like, wow.
And then the third line that I have for you is
please be my favorite.
The lone surviving spectator. Hey, wait! It's not the end. He's been reincarnated as a tricycle.
Oh, good one too. Good one too. Yeah. Not my favorite. My favorite was. I'll tell you what my favorite was after I vote on your 3. I'm going to go with. I got to go with number one. I'm going with number one. Yeah.
Here's your double topping.
Here's your double topping, dickhead. Because the kid 100% deserves to throw dead bird on his maybe dad's
kid
pizza.
just gets beat up by that bugger.
God, yeah. I totally was on board.
What was your fourth line for submission?
With the honorable mention has got to be when the girl's in the van and she's talking smack to the tire. One of her like taunt lines is, "You're nothing but a rubber shit."
That is a good line.
I gotta give that one at least an honorable mention.
I was laughing the entire time that she was in the van delivering those lines because she's
great.
So uncomfortable and it's just such a weird scene. Like,
and she
why
has
are
a
you
strange
reading from a
accent? And
that's not really identifiable.
Yeah, it's something, man. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So next part is, who's your favorite character?
My favorite character. This was the easiest one I've ever had to do. My favorite character is the accountant.
Mm.
What did you think of him?
The accountant was he's such a weird dude. Yeah.
He's so weird.
His death scene is just so over the top and and should be expected because he obviously made the feast. He obviously poisoned the feast himself.
He did it all.
Then chowed down on it, was surprised by the fact it was poisoned, and then blamed the would-be victim.
He takes us on a ride while screaming and grabbing his gut and rolling around in sand like a freaking maniac. This was supposed to be for you. Yeah, Jack Plotnick plays the accountant, and oh my God, what a fantastic! Every scene he is in, were my favorite scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, he is so strange looking and acting, and the way he controls his character is just something special. What was your favorite, man?
I actually go with Lieutenant.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I enjoyed the way that he, very first scene comes in and just immediately breaks fourth wall.
Just straight to it. Does he, though?
Just goes off on a rant. Like, he goes...
He's talking to the spectators. We don't know that at the time. Is that really a fourth wall?
But it is directly... Break? But he's directly right
directly to camera.
That's where we're fourth wall. So, but then, he goes off on his rant, and then in the credits, I don't know if you stuck around for it, but they actually show a different camera angle of the cop.
I did watch that, yes.
And it's got the accountant's reactions, which I thought were pretty good too. I thought we were going to get a little more action out of the reactions of the accountant, confused.
He is so bored, like he's heard it a million times before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's like, this again.
Yeah. And Lieutenant, just the way that he has to. First, he's in the middle of interrogating the hotel manager, and he's locked in on him, and he's grilling him because he wants to know about the relationship between him and the cleaning lady who's now dead. And then his alarm goes off, and he has to pivot 180 and be like, "Oh, okay, everybody's dead. I can go tell my crew that we can take off." So he pivots, and then he goes, and then is told that in fact not everybody's dead. He has to continue the movie. So he has to pivot again, right back to gets back down, and then he starts grilling on a different line of conversation. He's like, "So what was the deceased relationship with her obese brother?" It's like, what? Where did you come from? So,
what is happening right now?
Yeah,
I love how he relaxes too in that scene. He he is a cop, and then as soon as that beeps, he goes, "Oh, 6 hours done," and he just relaxes. Like, he does drop that character, physically and with his dialogue. So that is pretty cool. And at one point right after that, when he goes to tell everybody to go home, to prove to them, we didn't talk about this, but to prove to them that it's a movie, it's not real, he's like, "You've got a toy dinosaur under your arm, or a toy alligator." And the guy looks down, and sure enough, he's got a stuffed alligator under his arm for no reason whatsoever. There's that classic
that
thing.
Stuffed alligator for the rest of the movie.
The rest of the movie, it's under his arm.
Yeah,
he does not move it. Yeah,
it's so good.
And
it's funny because his reaction to it is like, so
this is what I do. Yeah, this is normal for me.
I don't get how that proves anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so hit us with some show's notes.
Sure. There is almost no research trivia for this movie. The first and only fact that I found interesting was this entire film was shot on one camera, and it was not it was a professional grade camera, but it wasn't a movie camera like the ones you see. Like it wasn't film or digital. It was a Canon SLR style camera. The entire movie is shot on a handheld camera, very low tech. And most of the effects, of course, were practical. There was some CG used, but it's extremely minimal. This movie was shot on a camera that you and I could buy for $600 at Costco. It is very interesting. The second and only other fact I found with searching, I wanted an interview with the director so bad. I wanted to know everything he was thinking, but nothing like that I couldn't find anything. But what do you want to guess is the budget for this movie?
Now that I know about the camera.
Yeah, I should have asked you first. I don't want it to skew your original.
280,000.
Ooh. Wow, I did not expect you to go that high. It is $500,000, $500,000 bucks for the budget. That is, in case you're keeping score at home, 14 Velocipastors. Okay, just to use Velocipaster currency, this movie was worth 14 of them. How much would you figure it made in select theaters and so far domestically online purchases? Because this movie was only shown in very small select theaters as like a specialty. It wasn't actually rolled out by any. It's an independent film, obviously, so it was only in very select theaters on kind of like fun midnight screenings. But most of it is direct to streaming device rentals. So how much money do you think it's made of its $500,000 budget?
I think it's made $1.3 million.
I wish. No, it's made $100,000. This movie is a absolute failure at this point in time. So, like I said before, it's $100,000 it's made so far domestically. So, this is a fantastic failure at this point. So, I'm really hoping, because like this movie is interesting and special, and like that's one of the things I said at the beginning. People need to see this thing. It is. I want that number at least to go up to at least is no longer a failure.
At least a couple $100.
At least a couple hundred more. Yeah, like I put in my $3 to rent it. So
going back to the camera, that's really interesting that it was shot with like an SLR style, because I remember in a few of the opening scenes thinking like, this looks like a picture that has come to life.
Yeah,
because like just the really, really sharp focus. So
really sharp focus.
Yeah,
and brilliant scenes. Like the framing is great, and the way the tire is captured rolling, it does feel like it has a mind of its own. And I was absolutely shocked. Like, and another thing that we didn't talk about in this movie that made me like it more than I should have, the sound quality in this movie, the sound effects. And everything involved with it, tires rolling on the dirt. Like, I really enjoyed the sound in this movie. Someone once said you can shoot a movie on any camera and it doesn't matter, it'll still look like a movie. Like Quarantine comes to mind, where it's shot like with, in a lot of cases, like that green midnight cam that doesn't even exist anymore. And like, it'll still look like a movie, but if a movie doesn't sound like a movie, it doesn't, your brain shuts off. This movie sounds like a big budget movie. It's really well done.
Yeah.
And the gore looks good too. But it was all shot on a handheld camera and a little one-stick tripod. That's it. Yeah.
Good for them. I noticed like even a lot of times I was like, I bet this is how they rolled the tire. And then even a couple of times I was like, I don't know how they got it to do that.
I was always asking myself that question. Like, how would you do that? Because it looked good. It looked believable. Yeah. And like you said, there's lots of times when you can tell someone is manipulating the tire off camera. But it still looked good. Like, it was like, this is a scene where we could do that. But like you said, there are lots of scenes in between where like, How did they make it do that? It was great. That part of it was great. There were some really weird things in this movie, but that part was
there were
great.
some bad parts. Let's not sugarcoat.
Let's say it. Did you like this movie?
Yes, I liked it enough to say, like, if somebody was asking me if they were on the fence, I would push them over to the side of saying yes. And I'm glad I watched it. I won't watch it a second time.
Right.
It's not like Velocipaster good, but it's
Stop.
good.
Please. That movie does not deserve the amount of time that you give it. I regret bringing it up.
Which one of these two movies is actually a success and which one is a flop?
Good point.
Which one has a sequel?
Oh, I hope there is a Rubber 2 Revenge of the Tricycle, because I will drop my must watch on that to counter your Velocipaster 2. Velociharder.
I see your Velocipaster and I raise you one rubber
2. I would recommend this movie. I've said that multiple times, but like you said, I'm never going to watch it again. Yeah. And just certain things that they do to mess with you are interesting, but I wouldn't say I like them. There's lots of thought put into this movie, and having the spectators there really changes the movie, and having the lieutenant quit halfway through really makes it into something, but I don't know what that something is. I've been racking my brain trying to think of what they were trying to get across with that. And like they said at the very beginning, the first 5 minutes, maybe they're not trying to get anything. Yeah. They're just doing it because it's absurd. Which I guess I got a real Weird Al vibe from that, in a sense. You know what I mean? I'm being ridiculous because being ridiculous is fun. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Not as clever as Weird Al, but very interesting.
That's funny that you should mention the Weird Al thing, because I'm not, and I can't check it right now, maybe you can, but I'm pretty sure that the hotel manager is a guy who was in a Weird Al movie.
UHF? Yeah. I can check this out.
Real time, and we'll keep talking.
Yeah,
so let's talk scoring while you're looking that up. What do you rate this movie?
Do you want me to tell you mine first and then tell you the Rotten Tomato scores? Because that's a little bit switched. Sure. I gave this movie a 40.
Oh, I thought you liked it.
I did. I liked it. I would recommend it. I can't give it a passing grade. Normally those two things are together for me. Normally, I would say if it's something I would recommend, I have to give it a 50, but I can't give this movie a 50. There's too many weird, ridiculous things that I don't understand the reason why they're in it. I'm totally okay with that. And like I said, I would watch it once, but I wouldn't spend time doing it again. So I'm going to give it a 40. I can't go any higher than that.
Yeah.
Which guy were you thinking of? The hotel manager?
Yeah.
That's Mr. Hughes.
For my score, I'm going to go with a 56. Ooh. I did have it passing, but just barely.
And I think you could convince me to raise it. You know what I mean? I think that's something that that's a good score. I have to admit, that's a pretty good score. Yeah. I would agree with 56.
It was entertaining. It was what it was supposed to be for a movie that only cost $500,000 to make. I'm not really expecting a ton. This seemed like a movie that somebody got $500,000 to just you know what? It sounds comical. I would like to see this. I've got $500,000 sitting around. Have fun, and then came out with this, and it's neat. And I really think that a lot of the cost in this movie was probably the cast, because when you do look at it, there is a large cast. You've got probably 30 or 40 people in the movie. And
they're good. They are talented actors.
I will say that the two teenage girls in the audience
they were
horrendous.
Rough, but they were supposed to be rough. I think that they did exactly what they weren't bad actors. They just were given a role that you are not supposed to like. Okay, let's cut this. Let's pause this for a second.
Yeah.
You're brilliant. David Bowe, who plays the hotel manager maintenance guy, also played Bob Steckler from UHF. And I think he's
right-hand
like
man in UHF.
the right-hand man. Yeah, the guy who runs the burger place or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Well done.
Yeah. Anybody who's watching this, pause this pause this podcast if you haven't seen UHF. Go watch UHF 3 times and really truly appreciate what Weird Al was doing 40 years ago.
Yeah,
because
pretty
it is
much.
a masterpiece.
1989.
89. Yeah, sorry, 31 years ago.
That's
it's fantastic.
insane.
If you want to see Kramer
UHF.
before Kramer knew what Kramer was,
yes,
watch UHF.
Yeah. Kramer before Kramer. Yeah. And what a movie. Half the things that happen in the movie don't make sense anymore because we don't have television like that anymore.
Yeah.
So exactly. It doesn't actually have a pop reference to even go off of anymore.
But what's a network?
Exactly. What's a UHF channel? What's a standard like a peasant vision channel? Yeah.
Exactly. So,
all right. What Tomatoes?
There you go.
Rotten Tomatoes critic score is higher than its audience score, which I always find interesting when that happens. Rotten Tomatoes critical score is a 69, and the audience score is a 46.
Ooh.
So I scored out of the 4 the lowest, and you scored the second highest, which is never. How rare is that?
Yeah.
I'm changing mine to 45.
All right.
I'm still feeling it, but I got to bump it. It's got to be as close to a pass that isn't a pass as possible. But once again, I recommend you watch it.
So what's our overall on that then?
I can figure that out in a minute. Why don't you tell everyone what the random number generator has produced for us to watch next week?
It's a shitty movie.
Yes, it is.
I forget which one.
Actually, it kind of isn't a shitty movie. Some people would argue it's a great movie, but I would argue it's definitely belongs in our steaming pile because it's just such a weird premise done on a very low budget. The movie our random number generator has selected is John Carpenter's They Live.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
Starring Rowdy Roddy Piper of WWE fame and Keith motherfucking David. Oh yeah. Keith David is in this movie.
Perfect.
Our over-under on this movie is on rubber is 54.
54.
It's a pass.
Was my grade?
56.
Ah, so close.
So close to the mean. Yeah. Which is rare. Usually you give yours so much lower than the average. So I'm interested that what you think of They Live. That's next.
Yeah, we'll find out next week. So, all right, that's our cue. We're out of here. Everybody have a great, safe week, and we will see you next time with They Live. Rob, have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon. Everybody click like and subscribe if you want to see more of these steaming piles of awesome.
Take care.